This is big breaking news. Top U.S. government officials are now coming out and saying we need to be prepared for, quote, panic and chaos. Quote, panic and chaos is coming, and you need to get prepared right now. This is what top U.S. government officials are saying at speeches in public right now. This also comes as flights are being grounded inside of Florida, potentially due to a massive cyber attack. This is all related, and this is all going to escalate, and this is what they're warning us of. Like I always say, they always tell us what's coming next. They always warn us what's coming next. That's what all these world government summits, these world economic forums are for. They are to show us exactly what's happening, what their plan is, and what's coming next. And now top government officials are saying, quote, panic and chaos are coming. So you need to get prepared. And we already see panic and chaos. And the things they are warning of is so mind-blowing. They are warning of attacks on our critical infrastructure. They are warning that gas pipelines could be attacked. They are warning that critical infrastructure could be attacked. All these things that we've already been seeing for the past few months, now top government officials are coming out and saying this is coming, and this is going to get even worse, and this is going to cause panic and chaos, and this is a policy that the U.S. is committed to. So we will get into these planes being grounded in Florida in just a second. Sounds very familiar. We had a nationwide grounding just 2 months ago from the FAA, and now the FAA is grounding flights in Florida again. All right, so we will get into that in just a second, but you can see here that a top government official is warning of massive cyber attacks inside the United States, inside the West, and they are going to cause, quote, panic and chaos. That's what top U.S. government officials are now warning of, and they're priming us for something big. Just like Klaus Schwab came out a couple weeks ago and said a, quote, black swan event is going to happen, which is just a obscure, rare event that changes everything, shifts everything. Is this going to be it? We know that the globalists want to reset the internet. They want to get control of the telecommunications because they don't have control over it right now. There's a lot of free speech on the internet that they do not agree with, and they would love to reset the internet and rebuild from scratch and only allow people on the internet with a digital tracking ID. This already happens in Europe where people get arrested and get visited by the police for just very simple things they say on the internet. Not crazy at all. They're not making threats. It's just thought police. They're just disagreeing with what's going on, and they get visited by the police all the time in Europe. But you can see here that this official is warning of, quote, panic and chaos. And they're saying that a Chinese invasion of Taiwan would be the trigger of this. You can see here, any Chinese invasion of Taiwan will likely be accompanied by massive cyber attacks against the West and against the United States, according to a top U.S. cybersecurity official. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency Director Jen Easterly said Monday that Washington and its allies must be prepared for China to create, quote, panic and chaos in cyberspace. And everything is related to the internet. There are trillions of dollars of e-commerce on the internet every single year. There are billions of dollars a day in transactions on the internet every single day. And this is at risk. Our economy is at risk. Our way of life is at risk. All the supply chains, all the logistics depend on the internet, as well as banking. Your debit card will not work without the internet. The kiosk have to communicate with your bank through the internet and tell them how much money's in your account, all right, and verify it. So everything operates through the internet, and if it goes down, we are completely vulnerable. And this top U.S. government official is even warning of attacks on critical infrastructure inside America, which is already happening. This has already been happening for months and months. I've been covering bare minimum. Could be longer, but the attacks have been ramping up. You can see here, quote, a scenario of attacks against our critical infrastructure in the event of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan is unfortunately not far-fetched, Easterly told an audience at the Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh. An invasion, quote, might very well be coupled with the explosion of multiple gas pipelines, the mass pollution of our water systems, the hijacking of our telecommunication systems, the crippling of our transportation nodes, she added, all designed to incite chaos and panic across our country and deter our ability to marshal military might and citizen will. Do all these events sound familiar to you? Multiple gas pipeline explosions. I'm getting chills right now reading this because I read it, I read it with my eyes, but when I say it out loud, it gives me chills. This is insane. The mass pollution of our water systems. Have you been following my videos in Ohio? Tens of millions of people, 10 different states are at risk right now of the Ohio River and the Mississippi River being poisoned, and one of the main dams in Ohio, East Palestine, just broke, flooding restaurants and parks in the area as well. All right, I reported on this a couple days ago, and it was spreading the soil from the massive explosion of vinyl chloride. They had this soil accumulated in an area, and the water got to it, and now it's spreading that contaminated soil in the water all through restaurants and parks and homes in the area as well. And look at what this top official is saying. Explosions of multiple gas pipelines. Hello? The mass pollution of our water systems. The hijacking of our telecommunication systems and the crippling of our transportation nodes. I'm going to get to Florida. Just had their flights down. I'll get to that in just a second. This is happening, guys. We are already in the middle of this, and them coming out and saying this just shows that they're worried that this is already happening, but they're worried that a big one is going to happen, and they're not going to be able to control the situation. All right, so this is very serious. This is very real. And these attacks are already happening right now, and it seems like an attack happened in Florida today. The FAA has been delaying and grounding flights in Florida today. What's happening? And we saw the nationwide outage just 2 months ago as well. All right, you saw this here, U.S. nationwide grounding caused by an alerting system glitch. Apparently, there was a rogue contractor that was updating this system in the middle of the day, and it wasn't even supposed to be updated for like 6 more years, I believe. They only updated every like 15 years, 10 years, something along those lines. Very long intervals between the times of updates, and it wasn't supposed to be updated for 6 more years, and this contractor just randomly went into the system and updated it without anyone else's knowledge or approval. So we can have these rogue individuals, I keep saying this, there's these groups inside the United States that do not like the United States, that are hostile towards us, and they want to take out our critical infrastructure, and now top U.S. government officials are even saying the same thing I've been saying for 6 months. And it's one of these things where the U.S. could even use these events to blame it on China, blame it on Russia. It could potentially even be U.S. forces inside the United States doing these attacks. We've seen false flag events before inside the United States where they use tragedies to blame it on other countries and escalate a war. So that could also be what they're priming us for too. But either way, these attacks are going to escalate. You can guarantee, you could literally bet money on it. And you can see here the FAA temporarily paused flights to and from parts of South Florida because of a radar issue, the agency said in a statement on Monday. It said it affected the FAA's Miami and Jacksonville air route traffic control centers. So they were redirecting traffic and grounding traffic in this area because they were having radar issues. So what keeps happening in Florida? So what happened with this story is there was a very similar situation, almost the same exact story like this in Florida in very early January. All the flights were grounded, all the flights were diverted. And then in mid-January, there was a nationwide outage. That glitch I was just talking about, this contractor updating the systems, rogue contractor, very suspicious. And now another one in Florida. So this has been 3 different FAA outages in the past 2 months, the past 60 days, 70 days, this has happened. And this is very suspicious on top of this top U.S. government official warning of massive cyber attacks on the United States and on the West. And these could be orchestrated from anywhere. We know that there are people inside of our own government that are beholden to globalist organizations, even to, sadly, China. There are people inside of our own government that are sold out and more loyal to China than the United States. Very sad to say. I'm not going to point any direct fingers, but there are lots of accusations of even sitting members of Congress, senators have been accused. Very high-level people, almost all the way up to the top, have been accused of these events, of even being sold out to foreign adversaries. And even if it was China, maybe they wouldn't respond. All right, one of the biggest pipelines in the United States, all right, was hacked. The Colonial Pipeline was hacked a couple years ago, and there was massive gas shortages in the southeast. I remember in Florida, I was in a rural area and there was no gas there, and I was calling family members more in the city to be like, hey, are you sure there's gas there, so I could drive to their house a couple hours away and get gas, right? So there were shortages, and that was from a massive ransomware attack on the Colonial Pipeline, one of the biggest attacks in history, and it shut down one of the largest oil pipelines in the country for weeks. So this could happen again, and they blamed it on Russia. So this could definitely happen again, and they're even warning us mass pollution of our water systems. The things they are saying are very suspicious. Explosions of multiple gas pipelines, hijacking of our telecommunication systems, and the crippling of our transportation nodes. All of these things are already happening. You need to get prepared. You need to get out of the cities. You need to be rural. You need to be self-sufficient. You need to have food stored. You need to have chickens. You need to be able to grow food for yourself, and if it hits the fan, for your family, because these attacks are escalating, and now even the government is acknowledging it and saying these attacks are real and they're going to get worse. So you're not crazy. We're not crazy. This is real, and this confirms it. The U.S. government is confirming these attacks are real. And just like we suspected, a lot of these attacks are cyber attacks because they can hit. Everything's digital now. Even the valves and everything are digitally controlled, digitally monitored. All of these things are subject to cyber infiltration. We live in the 21st century. Everything, just like these pipelines, the valves, the monitoring, everything on it, our water systems, it's all digital. It's all ran through a computer, through a program, and most of it is automatic. And these systems could be compromised, and we could see a lot more of this, and we are going to see a lot more of this. So make sure you're getting prepared. Thank you guys so much. I'm super blessed to have you guys watching, to have even just one person watching. It's incredible that you guys want to watch me every single day. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have big blessings in your life. You guys have truly blessed me and given me purpose to give you guys the news every single day. So thank you guys. Please hit that like, please hit that sub, please hit that bell for me if you want to support me. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a big old blessed day.